Welcome, everyone, to Quick Pick, sponsored by the 3K Podcast. And a special welcome back to Chris, who was missing in action last week.
Yeah, forgot how to get here. Need to get the GPS going.
And it was you missed the week after coming off a 4-2 week.
Then I went back to the cellar.
Yeah, so going into week 5 now, we're just going to do a quick update for you guys on where we stand year to date. As a group, 33, 31, and 2, so slightly over 500. The masked man, who is not here, is 10 and 8. He did not participate week 1, so he's a week behind. Chris is 9, 13, and 2, and I am 14 and 10. So again, we go through 5 picks. We'll give you our best bet, which counts as 2 games. All on the lines this week. And I'll tell you what, Chris, the lines are starting to tighten up a little bit out there. Getting harder and harder to pick these games. But since you missed last week, why don't you lead us off?
Do I have to? All right, I'm going to start off. I'm going to go. Let's see which one I want to pick first out of this group. I'm going to stay with my boys in Detroit. I'm going to go with the Lions again. I got them at plus 3.5 in New England. Yeah. I'm not big on New England at all. I'm shocked by that line, actually. I don't know why the line, even though they're on the road, but with the Patriots quarterback situation as it is and all kind of stuff going on, I'm really kind of surprised by that line. So I'll take it. I'll bite the bait again. Lions plus 3.5.
More on that game in a little bit. Okay, I will start off. I'm going back to the well. I hit on this team last week. I think they're being undervalued in the market. I'm taking the Jets plus 3 at home against the Dolphins. First of all, I'm not sure Teddy Bridgewater should be a road favorite against anybody. And I do believe, you heard it here first, the Jets corners are legit. They are top 5 corners in the league. I think they do enough to stay in the game, and I like their offensive weapons. I think it could be a letdown spot for Miami. I'm taking the Jets at home plus 3.
All right. Well, I'll see your Jets pick, and I'll go Dolphins minus 3.
Wow.
I think the Jets are trash. I don't care what their record is. I think they've had 2 teams let them off the hook at the end of the games. I don't like their quarterback. I think Zach Wilson is not the answer. And I know it's still very young in his career, but I just don't see anything that flashes at me that makes me think he has it that NFL franchise quarterbacks have to have. And I think if the Dolphins are as good as people think they are, then Teddy Bridgewater or Tua, either one, should be able to carry a 3-point favorite. Home or away, they should be able to cover that. So I'm taking the Dolphins minus 3. Like I said, it's equally as much about me not liking the Jets as it is that the Dolphins are kind of, I think that line's actually kind of low, to be honest with you. I would have probably had it like 5.5. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with Miami.
So if you don't like my Jets pick, you're definitely not going to like my next pick. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals plus the 5.5 at home against the Birds. I look on paper and I think the Eagles match up really well with Arizona, but there's something about this game that just scares me a little bit. It could be, there's a question mark around Slay. There's a question mark around Mailata. The Jake Elliott's not going to play. We don't know what we're getting from a backup kicker. That could easily be one miss instead of a make. I think the Eagles win the game, but I think Arizona hangs tough, and maybe it's a late touchdown to cover the 5.5. I think it's just too many points on the road, especially with Dallas on deck.
Yeah. So real quick about that game, talking to someone else the other day about it, and they were saying that at some point they think they're going to lose in a letdown situation. I said, well, the prime candidates for a letdown for the Eagles are either this week, in my opinion, with Dallas looming next Sunday night, or the game when they go short week to Houston. Even though Hurts is from Houston, I think he's going to play well and step up in that game. Those are the 2 for me that off the bat are red flags for me to be potential letdown games. So I can understand where you're coming from with that. I think the Eagles will cover, but I understand your logic.
Yeah, and I think Arizona, I'm not an Arizona guy, but I think they gained a little momentum last week as well. In the second half of that game, they played really well.
Okay. So I'm going to go stay in the NFC East. I'm going to take the Rams -5.5 against the Cowboys in LA. I think again, I think this line is a little bit low, honestly. Rams being at home, they're supposed to be a heavyweight contender this year, and Dallas still having the Cooper Rush situation. I know he's played well, but he also is about to face a whole different level of competition against the Rams. So I don't trust him in that spot. I do trust the veterans on the Rams to take care of business at home. I'm thinking maybe a 31-20 kind of situation. So I'll take the Rams -5.5.
Yeah, I like that play. I've rode Dallas the last few weeks. I think they've been undervalued, but the Rams are due for a bounce back spot, and Cooper Rush is due for a letdown game. So I like that play. I'll say again, close your ears on this next play because it's going to be ugly. I'm taking the Houston Texans +7 against the Jaguars.
Thought about that.
Divisional game. Jacksonville has looked good this year. I'm not gonna lie. But I need to see it again. I need to see a team that's going to be consistently good week after week. I'll throw last week out because of the weather and what was going on, but we still have a Jacksonville team here who has lost a game to Washington. They're a team that can have a little bit of a letdown spot. I think Houston's kind of due for a good game. They're the only winless team in the league. I just think 7 points for this Jags team in a divisional game is just a little bit too much for me. Give me the Texans +7.
Yeah, I didn't pick the game, but I thought about that. The Texans are sticky. They're a sticky kind of team. They just you think that they're going to get blown out and they lose by 4 or 5, and they stay in games long. Even when they lose by double digits, it's at the end of a game where they just have the wheels fall off the last 5 minutes. They're a sticky kind of team.
Yep.
So
I think Pierce has looked good the last couple of weeks, so they're starting to establish some sort of offense. I think they'll hang tough.
Yeah, I could see that. I think you mentioned Washington in there. I'm going to go continue to ride against them. I'm going to take the Titans, who are coming into Landover this week, as a 1.5 point favorite.
It's actually 2.5 now.
You have been 2.5?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take them at 2.5 still.
Okay.
Against the Commanders, another on the road. Tennessee's not that great, but the Commanders are at some point, I would say, if they already haven't, they're going to start the parade of questions with, is Carson Wentz due to get benched? And they had success with Taylor Heineke last year. The kid can play. I'm not saying I would tie the wagon to him for a franchise spot, but in this situation, a perfect spot for him where he can come in and play a handful of games, not have any pressure, and bridge once again the gap to either the next quarterback that's going to be drafted this year, or for
Sam
Howell potentially, or who knows, maybe they go after Aaron Rodgers in this offseason.
Possible.
So that's very unlikely, I think, but at the same time, you never know. So, but with that being said, I think the Tennessee is just good enough to squeak by them in a maybe 24-20 kind of deal. So I'll take them
-2.5.
-2.5. Yeah.
All right. For my fourth pick, I'm going to take the Bengals +3.5 at Baltimore. I think the Bengals are starting to get their sea legs after early season squabbles, I guess maybe the word. Cincinnati's defense is very underrated, especially their run defense. I think they're fourth in the NFL in run defense, which is obviously what Baltimore likes to do. And in addition, Baltimore's 32nd against the pass. And the Bengals passing game has heated up lately. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals won this game outright. But if I'm getting 3.5, I'm going to take that in this rivalry game, which in my opinion should come down to a field goal either way. So give me the Bengals +3.5 at Baltimore.
Yeah, I like that pick. And speaking of sea legs, I'm going to go with the Seahawks over the Saints.
This is your best bet?
Or
you want to switch it?
I may switch that, but
okay.
Seahawks, I had them at +5.5.
I'll have to check the line now, but go ahead.
So assuming that that's still the case, earlier today it was 5.5, but look, I'm not big on Seattle. We know that from the show when we did our preview segment earlier in the year. And but there's something about Geno. Geno's slinging it. He's slinging it a little bit.
Yeah, he looks good. The line is 5.5.
Okay. So I want to see Geno in this spot. It's a turf game inside. It could be a track meet. Saints quarterback situation. I don't know if is Winston clear to play yet.
I'm not sure, but they're also coming back from London too, which is.
I was going to say, yeah, they're still coming back from that trip as well, in which they took a tough loss. So mentally, who knows where they're at right now? Seattle should lose this game. I would not be surprised if they not only covered. I wouldn't be surprised if they won this game. I don't know if the balls picked them out right, but I'll definitely take them at 5.5.
So they, I mean, you can't sleep on Seattle's weapons either. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Rashad Penny. They have some weapons on offense to score some points.
Absolutely. As far as my my best bet, I'm going to say Tennessee.
All right, so Tennessee's going to be your best bet for 2 games. So my best bet actually counters one of your earlier games. I'm going to take the New England Patriots minus the 3.5 against the Detroit Lions. In my opinion, I'm looking at a Detroit team without DeAndre Swift. I'm looking at a Detroit team that if Amon-Ra St. Brown plays, he's going to be hobbled. He's got that ankle injury, and they're unsure if he's going to play. I'm looking at a New England team that from PFF has the top 2 corners in the NFL. So I think they'll be able to play man-on-man with whoever else is, the Josh Reynolds of Detroit, and they can focus on stopping TJ Hawkinson on the inside. Detroit has been a sieve defensively, the worst defense, I think, in the history of the NFL through 4 weeks. I thought New England gained some momentum last week against Green Bay, even though they let that game slip away. But I think they have the running game to kind of control the clock. And I'll take Bill Belichick over Dan Campbell at home. I actually think New England wins this game by 10 points with Detroit not having those weapons. I think that's a big loss for those guys.
Okay, fair enough. I would just put the fact that Brian Hoyer going for New England,
I mean, I have Bailey Zappi at quarterback.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So it's
the situation with him was coming out of the draft when he was drafted was he's got a professional arm. He just doesn't necessarily have a professional IQ.
And I think that's where I trust Bill to kind of keep him in check and use a lot of the running game. And I just think they'll control I think they're going to put the stops to Detroit's offense, which has looked awesome the first 4 weeks. That's where I'm going with this. I see this being like 23-10 or something along those lines.
We'll see. Hey, I mean, if you had to pick odds on me versus you right now, I'm probably the heavy dog at this point too. So,
Yep. So let's wrap it up. I'll give the Masked Man's pick. So ironically, the Masked Man's 5 picks have all been games that we've already discussed. So either games you've picked, I picked, or going against. So his picks are, he's on the Lions plus the 3.5 as well against New England. He's on the Titans minus the 2.5 at Washington. He's on the Cardinals with me plus 5.5 against the Eagles. He's going against me with the Jaguars minus 7 against the Texans. And his best bet is also the same as, or not same as mine, but he's on the Jets plus the 3 as his best bet.
It's his best bet. Wow.
Yes, that's his best bet. So those are his picks. We'll see what we can do this week and hopefully give you guys some winners.
Good luck, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. We will see you all next week.